All right, recording has started. Hello, everyone. We are calling to the World Community Exchange Transparency Meeting. Sorry, there we go. My screen sharing just disappeared on me. And today is April 10th. We are starting the meeting as calling to order at 12:11 p.m. Central Time. Present at the meeting at this point are Vanguard Rosie Ray, Framework Advisor Christy Ivy, Cornerstone Lori Hayes, and Strategic Planning Advisor Michelle Austin. As you can see, we have the recording there from the last transparent meeting. If you have watched it or have any questions, does anybody have any questions or concerns about the recording or anything that was on that last recording? Hearing none, I will move forward. At this point, we do have a quorum present. However, there is nothing to be taken a vote, and so we will continue forward.
May I make a note, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Kara is excused today. She got her brand new job. I don't want to go into details because we're being recorded, but made it clear that on her first day of work, she could not miss an hour for this meeting, but she will join us for the next meeting this month.
And did she notify you?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not reach out, just for the record. She
No,
notified me in advance.
That's fine. Like I said, I sent a text to everybody who wasn't here at the 12 o'clock-ish time. So I did not know that ahead of time. So then we will move on to reports. Rosie has provided her Vanguard report. Are there any questions about the Vanguard report? Does anyone have any questions for Rosie? All right, then if there are no questions, we're going to move on to the Framework Advisor report. Does anyone have any questions or concerns for Christy?
The only thing I'm going to ask is that we put names on the report, please. Unless it's been updated. But when I looked at it for the first link, it's like 3 did this and 2 did that. And for my edification, I'd like to be able to talk to the folks that are struggling.
For which one, Rosie?
For your entire report. So if you're going to say like, there's tasks undone, or there's tasks that did get done, or whatever the attendance, all of that. I'd like it to go by our functions, please, or by our teams. I'm sorry, I'm switching gears here, but by teams, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, I'm a visual person. So I'm looking at meeting and attendance. And I see I put the names there. Or you know what, just whenever you get a chance or whatever, you could just because I'm looking and I see names, but maybe it's not exactly like what you want or how you want, maybe.
Or maybe I just didn't understand it. Let me go in here.
Yeah, because on this report, the only time that there's any there's any kind of accountability, I will say it that way, is with the attendance, and there's names, but
I'm looking for past due tasks in Asana, didn't get awareness done.
Oh, okay.
That sort of thing. Some accountability that it's not that I want to go smash. It's that if I see a name and I'm like, oh yeah, it was a busy month or whatever. But if I'm not being clear, I don't know that without communication. So if there's past due tasks in Asana, that's the easiest one for me to just name off the top of my head. Or you asked for information and you're not getting it. And that would be not just the BOA. I know you're visual, but this is a hypothetical. Michelle is saying, well, I'm trying to do my strategic planning. I reached out to that team in operations they didn't provide the reporting I requested. And that's what she's letting you know. Okay. So,
Okay.
so I can track a little bit where I'm needed.
Oh, okay.
Your report would be awesome for that. So if Alice didn't make her advisor report in, for example, and when you asked her about it, she said, well, that's because operations didn't give it to me on time. So whatever is breaking down in communication so that I can step in and try to help. We are at this point really working on our processes. And with me on both sides of the desk, I'm positioned in a way that I can try and help communication, but I'm also trying very hard to get it so that it's not just I'm in the middle all the time. And I don't know which folks are really able to reach out and which aren't, and who knows what. So any of that kind of noting by name would be great. And again, I want to say on the record, it's not to be critical. It's to try and help improve the process.
And then to follow up on that, Rosie, you had asked that like special projects be always on the agenda. Christy and I have talked, and she will she will communicate that in her report every month.
That's brilliant.
And then speaking of that,
failure of communication, Christy, I 2 weeks ago told one of our volunteers, I won't name them on the recording, but right now it's the only one you're active with, let you know that the project was going to get bumped back a month through circumstances beyond their control. And that was approved by me. It's not an urgent task. It can get done anytime by June and we'll be fine. But
Okay.
there's an example. As soon as Lori said special projects, I went, yep, there's something I didn't tell you. So I'm kind of using your report to help me remember those things.
and Rosie, is that the person that I know? Because I was going to also update, or is that a different
Not on
project?
camera.
Pardon?
We don't want to do that on camera.
Okay. Then I also want to update that one of the individuals doing a special project is I've been in communication with, and there's some special circumstances going on, and her and I'll be talking
Same
later this
person.
week. What's that?
Same person. Same
Okay.
person. She's in training with me.
Okay. I
You're fine.
just wanted to make sure. And then Christy, I have to say, I absolutely love what you started with the whole vision board. That was mind blowing for me.
Thank you.
Rosie and I have talked about the manifesting in the book that, we've all started. And that is something that has always been difficult for me. So the information you guys have all put down and the communication and the talking about it has been really changing for me, I will say.
Can I ask you a question, Lori, please?
Mm-hmm.
If I go where I believe I should go in our drive, I love it. It's going to be a communications kind of day. I go into 2023 meeting agendas. I go to transparent. I go to April.
Yep.
Why does that one not match your one? Oh, I see.
Because you are going into April, and our last transparent meeting was in March.
This one. I'm with you.
Sorry. Oh, do you see that? Yes.
Yep, I'm with you now.
I
Thank you.
always put the transparent link with the transparent meeting, because then if there were things that were meant to be in our closed session, they don't get, okay?
I'm totally following you now. Thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any questions for me as the framework advisor? I mean, as the framework. Geez, I'm sorry, Christy, as the cornerstone.
No, I just want to say, thank you for collaborating with me as far as like, what we do and how we do it, as far as like the framework report. If you go into the framework report, you all will see if people check it, then like for special projects or whatever, because I know sometimes even myself, I get crazy looking all over the place. So I attached a link to that, to try to make things a little bit easier to find things. And if there's anything else that I can link to a specific name or something that I have on the framework advisory report, let me know. So you could just always go there, just click and go to where you need to go, if that will be helpful as well.
Great,
So I
thank you.
appreciate that.
Speaking of which, if we have anybody that we've been talking to that might be interested, I'm just again reinforcing Christy's list. Like, we have projects that need people, so a lot of can do some of this. All right, and then Alice did submit her maker advisory report. However, she is not here at this time.
For the recording, I'm going to give the questions because everybody's required.
Yep.
And I have some on this one.
Okay.
So I am curious to ask Alice a couple of things. One, are we onboarding any current brokers? Are there any issues? How many makers are those brokers bringing on? The report, the last couple reports talk, I believe, when it says status, I believe she's talking about independent makers. I'd like to know about the brokered makers as well. And I don't see that section in the report. And I'd also like to have on the report a turnaround time. We received this lead on such and such a date. First, contact onboarding started. I don't care how Alice chooses to do that, but I would like to see some turnaround time information. I think that's essential for the Board of Advisors to understand, especially since in the introduction section, it says 7 more makers, but it doesn't say who. And I don't think it should have to say who for the Board of Advisors, but as the Vanguard, I'd like to know what our turnaround time is from the moment that a maker either reaches out to us or we reach out to them initially, and the point at which we have an answer or they're onboarded. So either a no or onboarded. Also, I'd like to see some data about percentage of success. Okay. And again, I'll leave that up to Alice. Like, I know that we get people that reach out in like Facebook Messenger, and they're really not makers. They're fibbing and they're trying to get us to invest in stuff. I wouldn't include any of that, but if it's a serious maker, whether it's Messenger or Pinterest, Instagram, Fair, if any of us brought someone to Alice, I need to understand, how many are coming. Because if it's 9 out of 10, I'm not going to sweat it. But if it's 4 out of 10, then maybe I need to improve the process. Or I'm sorry, let me say that differently. Maybe the maker team needs to improve the process. I'm getting there, Lori. Okay. So I'd like to see that information in our next reporting, please.
Does anybody else have any questions they want to add for Alice?
No.
That PowerPoint sure is pretty.
It was. I told her that as well. All right. And then right now we currently have our awareness advisor position vacant. And I believe we'll be talking more about that in our closed meeting at the end of the month. All right.
We will. I'm also going to stress one more time that as a Board of Advisors, some of the key positions are not filled. As the Vanguard, I am very concerned not getting reports about awareness or balance and prediction, some of these key things. I imagine that everybody in this room is very concerned. It's very hard to do our job as a board without those key components of information. So I'd like to see at least one suggestion from everybody Board of Advisor that for someone that may be able and willing to take over those reporting functions, those responsibilities. Because I can imagine it is, everybody in this room right now are all financially, what should I say, astute or concerned. Anyway, we're all detail people here right now, and we're not getting details on 2 of the biggest things that impact WCE. So over the next 2 weeks before the next meeting, please bring at least one person to a conversation. If they're good to go, the process is as follows. Let Christy know, get a resume in there. We'll have them scheduled in to have an introduction during the closed session 2 weeks from now, so that they don't feel like they're public in an interview getting recorded, right? And we'll get them on the agenda for 2 weeks from now.
We
And then-
also want anybody you're talking to, also please try to send them the copy of the expectations. So it is not,
Christy, do it so that we know for sure that it's in or out. So whoever we have, bring them to Christy. Christy and I'll work together to get them the expectation so that we don't, Michelle did, but I forgot or whatever. So we'll all go through Christy. For that, it's a great point, Lori. We definitely need to get them the expectations, which is in the file, Christy, but I can also send it to you on email from the DocuSign, including meeting dates.
yep. And that's one thing, whenever I talk to people, I have been giving them that, because for some people, they're like really excited by the concept. And then they're like, ooh, I didn't know what I was getting into. And so I don't like to set people up for false expectations from both of our sides. So
I agree. It's also that we need to have a conversation. That's part of the reason we'll go through Christy, because I think that looks like more than it is. Truthfully. Part of the problem is they don't understand when they read the expectations that there's an operational team giving them the raw data. For example, the awareness advisor report would be based on reports that are pulled for them from the operational team, from Shopify and Facebook. Now that they still have to report. They still have to understand it. So a background is in the industry is fantastic. If not, I mean, we can certainly teach to that, but the report is ultimately their responsibility. However, we're not talking about a 10-hour day pulling all the reports either. Which is great because we just had this recorded, so that's helpful. So in lieu of an awareness advisor report, I can tell you what I know off the top of my head. And that is that we were struggling to get into WordPress. We are now in. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town for 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I guess that's 5 days. When I get back, it'll be my first priority to work on the build out. The function of those pages is still fine through Weebly. We are not costing ourselves any of the benefits from the free website guys. It's just a matter of a delay, but not that it's going to impede any business. The store is up and running and doing great. And for anybody been paying attention to me just going crazy in Slack, we finally figured out what the integration problem was with TikTok and are ready to advertise there. That's huge. For awareness, that's absolutely huge. And lastly, off the top of my head, we will not be taking on the meta universe that is Facebook. They didn't like me personally, and I hosted WCE. And so they had put a bunch of blocks and stuff, and we appealed them, and then they kept saying no. And then they sent an email to verify a phone number, which is my phone number. And so I verified it, and they didn't make note of it. Anyway, it got to be very, very messy. We will not be making Facebook our first point for marketing. We're going to stick to what we said in the first place. It's going to be TikTok. It's going to be Pinterest. It's going to be radio. That being said, I know that our awareness team has been reaching out to every single solitary news source they can find that has submit a story here page. And if they don't, finding an email. So in my free time, I've been reaching out to all of the TV stations, newspapers, anybody want to help with that, just holler at me. I got a template. You literally cut it, paste it, send it, do it again, keep up on the spreadsheet so that we don't double do. But in the meantime, that's what's going on with awareness. Can't give you any stats because, without the advisor, there wasn't a report made. But that's an overview at least. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? I know I went really fast.
No, you could just send me the template and I can, if it's radio station, news stations and stuff like that, I mean, I could hit here in Georgia.
Okay.
Just send me what you got and I'll just copy and paste and send it away.
Okay. Happy to. It's not hard. I just do it while I'm watching TV. I hate to say that on our transparency meeting, but we know who we are. We wrote up who we are. It's just a matter of if anybody's going to be interested in that or not. The two things I do need from the board and everyone I fund women, please. Every day, share it with someone. Or the fact that we are welcoming new investors. We have 41% of the company left available. We charge $168 a share. They can meet with me personally in a confidential meeting. And I mean confidential. I know we're transparent, but we don't put people's finances out there. So they would have a meeting with me on Google Meet about, how the company works and what they can expect and that sort of thing. But we need promotion for any of those things. Lastly, free website guys that did such a great job for us so far, gave us a code. I put it in Slack. Please share that code all over the place, not only because they're exceptional and we would like other people to maybe qualify, especially the small businesses, y'all know, and especially if they're startup. Because if they don't have a site yet, this is a heck of a boost. If they only have a landing page, this is a heck of a boost. And we do get, I forgot what it was, $50 or $25 or something like that for the referral. So just to be transparent, we will receive money if somebody takes us up on it. And obviously I love that. But the main reason I'm doing it is we all know small business folks. And it's an amazing thing. They are the easiest company I've ever worked with for designing a site. They send you a video, says do this, and then you do it. And then they send you the next video, do that, and then you do it. And then, and even if you come back and say, I didn't understand that video, they've got a sub video. They're so prepared. And they talk, English, not technology. Nothing to be coded, it's pretty exceptional. Okay.
All right. Anything else in the reporting section? All right, then I am going to stop sharing. And we can move on to the book club. So how have y'all been enjoying the Humble book so far? Don't y'all
I started.
Okay.
I was going to say I didn't get very far, admittedly, because as you were kind of hearing me rattle on about my season, as I started reading it, it actually is a really good book, and I can't wait to dive into it further. I think what I'm going to switch is to the audible version, so that I can kind of have it going on in the background as I try to work through the day. Because it just so many things about humility that but it's just that gentle reminder for me anyway. That was my biggest takeaway, is that a lot of the principles we've learned over the course of our lives, maybe even forgotten, just because of our interactions and different things that we've dealt with through life. But it's just, this book was a gentle reminder of what really humility is.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between being humble and being, God, now the word escapes me. Oh gosh, I can't think of my word. Come back to me. I forgot it just that quick.
I know what you mean, but I can't help you with the word either.
Self-depreciating,
Um,
that,
that could be, but there was a specific word that they used, and I was trying to call it out, but I can't now. It just escapes me. But I found it to be for one, an easy read. For two, it was refreshing for me to just to read something that is I'm gonna have to use the word humble yet enlightening.
Was it pride?
Well, no, but that is a word that I would use, but that wasn't the word that they used. I'll have to come back to the word. It'll come to me. But again, from what I read so far, I I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait to get through many more chapters of it. It's a good book.
Well,
That's all I
I'll go next. Let me tell you what. Well, we're not recording, right?
Yes, we are.
Oh, well, never mind. Let me stop it. Well, I'm not gonna say that. But me, I jumped to May and started in May, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're not there. We're here in the humble. But let me tell you something. When I got started in it, I thought about this um, person I used to work for. Um, like it's the whole humility and humble and this is where I'm getting with it at, because when I would talk to him about certain situations, hey, let's try this, let's try that, I know my job and yada yada yada, like, oh, okay, well, hold on, I'm just putting some ideas and stuff out here. Well, needless to say, we worked closely together, but it was certain things he didn't want to admit that he had a shortcoming, right? And so, and I used to tell him, I said, something is going to knock you on your behind to humble you for you to see, you know, that you got to look at it from other angles. However, he was a higher up position. I'm trying to clean this up so I'm not, just in case. So he's in a higher up position. So he kept wanting for a position. I know I'm the man. I know I can do this. I knocked it out the box or whatever, but they did not choose him.
oh,
He was not chosen. And I kept telling him, you're not chosen because you two up here. And I know you have to, just like the book says, you have to recognize within yourself your shortcomings and your weaknesses. You just want to recognize how strong you are. You didn't want to recognize your weaknesses. And so, and I told him, I said, until you do that, until you get knocked into a situation where you have to come back down to where we at and see what we go through, I said, I bet you the next time when you go up for another position, you're gonna be just a little bit humble, and you're not gonna have your chest all puffed out like I got this. So needless to say, he called me back a couple of months later and said, Ivy, he said, what you told me was right. What you told me was right. I had to he was humiliated because he thought he had it. Like they were even you're gonna go before these people here and talk because we want you for this position. And then he gets a letter saying we didn't choose you. After they told him that they was going to choose him, they didn't choose him. So, and then I thought about the whole part about the book when it was talking about self-validation, how people are putting themselves out on social media. Like now we take more selfies of ourselves because we want validation instead of us accepting ourselves for who we are, how we look, all that stuff. And I've noticed, and I'm quite sure y'all have to, especially if you're on social media, you see a lot of females like this now and like that because if you look at the comments and the likes and stuff, that's what they build their lives upon, is the likes and the comments. Because if I got 20,000 people telling me I'm fine and pretty, then it's validated for me. Can't nobody tell me I'm not fine and pretty. So you forget your self-worth. You forget, like, it's like you lose yourself and you don't know who you are anymore because you're too busy being a crowd pleaser. So like I'm really enjoying that book. I'm gonna shut up because I could talk about all this stuff 24/7. So that's it. Like I'm hushing. But you got to be real with yourself when you have like instead of me accepting that I'm pretty enough to be pretty to myself, I haven't accepted that. So I just got to reach out and get validation from other folks. And you got to live with your own humility in order to grow. So zip it.
Rosie?
Yeah, you go.
Nope. I got the charge of the meeting today. So
Talked all over the report, so I'm going to stay quiet. I'm having fun listening.
y'all, that ain't right. But I will say that I haven't gotten to chapter 7 yet in section 2 because I had to reread at least twice the defensiveness section. Sometimes I'm like, well, yeah, I know I do that. But when I was reading that, I'm like, I got some lessons to learn here. That section really called and spoke to me a lot about how we respond, how you think you're responding, and then some of the examples they gave, it's like, I got some work to do here because I will say in my former job, I was the clinical expert, so I knew stuff. Sorry, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I do, but you know what? Everybody else has a valid point too, and so sometimes it's really stepping back and thinking and reframing those questions, as well as going into the next section then, which is talking about building empathy. And some of those really struck me as well, because the difference between, is there pure altruism, or does pure altruism exist? And can we ever truly be unselfish? I know that several of my friends and I have actually talked about that idea. Like when we help others, are we reaping a personal or social benefit, or does it just make us feel good? And is that the benefit we're getting? And does somehow like doing something for others help us just feel better? So therefore, are we doing it because we're helping that other person, or because we again are gaining something for it? And then in that same vein, they talked about the nagging threads of moral hypocrisy obstructing our motivation to be moral. And it was the whole concept of virtuous signaling, which is ensuring one is sending visible messages to align with our preferred worldview without any personal costs, versus slacktivism, which was voicing public support for a cause without making any actual sacrifice or real effort. And that one really struck me as well, because you think about how many times I get on my personal high horse of and it's like, well, okay, I just like blathered all over everybody, but what am I actually going to do? What is my next step going forward to actually make that a reality, a real thing, or at least something that has a cost or a pull for me? I don't know if that's the right words, but yeah, this first couple chapters, I was like, oh, okay, I'm reading, and it's kind of a little bit, I don't want to say highbrow. That's not the right word. It was a little bit like esoteric thoughts, like, okay, yeah, these are great thoughts. But then when I got into that second set of chapters, there were a lot of life lessons that I am picking up through this. And I think this is a book I'm going to be going back and reading again.
It might be a few Christmas gifts this year too.
Right.
Right?
That's how I felt about Energy Bus too. Yep. Lori, I put 2 articles for you because I know you like articles in the messages. Both of them one's Berkeley and one is a psych journal. And they both talk about how it is basically impossible to give to others without getting something back.
Right.
And I have to be honest, because we're all transparent. This book is not shaking me in any way, shape, or form at all. I'm literally skimming, going, yep, you could have said that better. Yep, we could have figured that out. It's been how I live. And I thought about saying that today. I'm like, yeah, let's talk about how I'm going to sit here and say, well, I don't need to read the Humble book because I already am. But that's not what I mean. But I really, honestly, on a fundamental level, believe that I am nothing special and I am very valuable, if that makes sense. And it doesn't to a lot of people. So I think the thing I like about the book is that it helps explain that, because I've met so many people that are trying so hard to be humble that they're literally battering themselves. I'm like, hon, that's not humility. That's I don't know what that is. It's self-abuse is what it is. And then you've got the people like Christy was talking about going, well, I'm humble, dang it, I'm just right. you know. But I have been recommending this book, however, to a great number of my people of a certain age and gender and ideology. And I have to tell you, I've been in a lot of conversations here lately with very angry people, because either I gave them the book or I gave them part of the book. And I'm realizing more and more and more that for some of these folks, to be humble is to be vulnerable in an unnatural way. I am struggling how to say that. Not vulnerable like, I love you, you love me, you're my partner, I want to be vulnerable. But like, if we keep telling you, Rosie, if you keep loving the whole world, you're just going to get killed. If you just keep this up. And I mean, I've been hearing this for 54 years. And I keep saying every year, well, not this year, I guess. They're not going to all kill me this year, I guess. But that's because nobody cares. There is nobody cares if I'm here or not. There's a few people that would be sad for a little bit. But the truth of the matter is what I put out there lives much longer than this meat box is ever going to do, or even the memory of this meat box is ever going to do. And when I try to explain, I'm like, that's why I'm free. I'm free every day because I don't give a shit. And I know I keep contradicting myself, but I love the whole world, but I don't give a shit. But that's the truth. I care about everybody, every single solitary one, even the people that I know would call themselves my enemies, fine. But that doesn't mean I question I don't get my validity from whether I've convinced them I'm amazing or not. I know I'm amazing. Screw that. You know what I mean? You don't want to see it. That's fine. So my job every day, to me, is to make sure everybody else around me knows they're amazing. Because they are. Does that make sense? But I'm finding that if you're a Midwestern, white, male, especially my country folk friends, they are resisting these lessons badly. And I don't, again, because the way I live, I don't go, well, you're wrong, read the book. I've been asking, I'm like, why though? Why do you have to be right? Why do you have to interrupt? Why do you have to? And to a person, it's fear. They're raised, you have to be the rightest. You have to be the strongest. You have to be the most powerful, or someone's going to hurt you. They're going to hurt you physically. They're going to hurt you financially. They're going to take away your family. They're going to take away your position. And I think the book is fantastic, but it is not situated anywhere where that can be impactful. That's my one criticism of the book. If all of us just said, oh yeah, I'm going to follow this book and be humble, it could be harmful. Yeah.
I'm
The
not doing
society
that.
you're in, it could be harmful to you. How many times I have been called in because a woman was in trouble from a male threat. Sorry, but this is how it goes. Domestic violence. And they call me, and they're like, cause dude, you're not a real girl. You can do this, and okay, non-binary, got it. But it does, in some situations, if you don't pretend to be the grovelly humble, that word I can't find, that Michelle can't find, that, you know what I mean? That, yeah, people are hitting you. So what is that? I'm looking forward to reading, chapters 8 through 10 to see if they get to the part where you need to be considerate of the circumstances you're in. And I don't just mean societally, I mean familially. Maybe I'm making too big of an assumption here, but I think most of the people in this room either do identify or have been forced to identify as a woman at some point. Have you not ever been in a situation where it was just easier, right, to fake the extreme of humility, right? Deference. Yeah, okay, yeah. Christy, you call them out. Do you call everybody out that does it?
Oh, no, I don't call everybody.
No. I think there are situations in which it may be unsafe to do so.
Yeah, like some things require, pull to the side. Let's talk about this. I mean, that's with a relationship, that's with a friendship, that's with professionalism. Like the guy that I was telling you all about earlier, like I have had to pull him to the side and have closed door conversations. Like, okay, that was wrong. But I'm not going to call you out in front of the crowd like, hey, fool, you wrong. I'm not doing that.
Mm-mm.
But
I
you
would
know
need-
what? You don't care about a person, or you don't love a person if you continue to let them like keep going, because it's bad enough they already think they're right. They hear you.
Right?
Like if you stay on that bandwagon with it, oh yeah, that's no, we're not doing that. And like I said, that's just like when I work for you, I care about you. I still care about you. And if it was something that, and you never done anything like out the way or whatever the case may be, but I'm just saying, if you had done anything, I would have hit you up on the side. Hey, Rosie, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Because if I care about you as my leader, I'm going to, tell you like, okay, these people feeling this type of way. Now I know you're right about everything, but I'm just saying, because you're getting ready to hit head on with another train that you're not ready for. Some people act the way they act because of trauma that they have not addressed and dealt with.
Right.
And then, me, I love the book, but at the same time, like I'm kind of like you, I'm already set. Like you have to meet people where they are. And then, you know what? Because I've learned, just from working in the prison system, like, like this fool, and then this at a young age, but staying in the prison system with these guys, I'm like, you know what? You can't argue with these people. You have to meet them where they at, because I don't know what you've been through to get, why your mind is trained the way it is. And, I can't get mad at you because I can't get you to see another way, or, a better way. Like maybe that's all that's just like before
And
my 15th
that's
divorce.
the exact population I'm talking about. Even if you taught them everything in this book and they accepted it 100%. Unless we have a different world to put them in when they get out, they're
Right.
going back to where that's going to get them killed.
Right. And every person that I've known that gotten out of prison, they've gone back.
Yeah.
Not for a long time, but they repeat that cycle, even if they went to jail for 30 days. I don't know what it is, but I talked to women that has been in relationship with guys that has been locked up, and they was like, oh, they this and they that, they a good man, but at the same time, I like, do you realize where they come from? I'm like, their mind has been trained to take care of themselves. So now they got to recondition everything. And I said, if you love them, you're gonna be patient, because they're not just gonna come out here like, I'm thinking about my whole family. They got to think about themselves for right now.
Christy, that very population, one of my favorite exercises is I say for 24 hours, you cannot use a singular pronoun. That's it. That's all I want you to do. You don't have to journal. You don't have to read anything. You don't have any homework. And every one of them goes, oh, that's easy. No, it's not.
It's not.
At first, they're like, well, we need to. And they're like, see, I can do it. No problem. And then they'll get to that one that to say we makes them grind. Just grind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, to pass, you've got to say we.
Right.
Singular pronouns.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's a part of humility. And sometimes that's as easy as you got to start. So I kind of agree when Lori was saying it's esoteric. I don't know how to use that word exactly. I don't think it's very highbrow, but I do think it's starting from a place that there's an assumption, there's a groundwork and a foundation that not everybody has. I feel like I needed a part 1 to this book, like a prequel or something, if we're going to use it in any way. Now, if we're just using it for ourselves, great. I think we're all at that level. But I became really interested in going, okay, how would I teach? I'm a teacher, so how would I teach this? I couldn't start with this book teaching it to the most of the people I know. It would be offensive.
Maybe.
And on top of that, I'm in a part of the world where out humbling each other is something they do. Missouri Synod Lutheran, where I was raised, everybody tried to prove how humble they were. Now, what do you do with that now? It's like, well, don't put your light under a bushel, but don't pray outside of the closet and don't show off everything you've done. Don't put your plaque up there. And that's fine. So you hear everybody leaking behind there going, well, I wonder where that came from. And now we know you donated it, It's like, yeah, but I was too humble to say so. I'm so glad that you figured it out. Yeah, when you all but, said your name. So I think this is my favorite part of this book was when he asked his wife how humble he was, and she said 4. I'm like, what a wonderful partner you have. Oh, yeah, it's 4. And he's mad when he took her for granted all day long. That's the point I started trusting this author. They didn't have to put that in there. They could still be the reigning expert on humility. Oh, I just wrecked it for Michelle. I'm sorry. I forgot you didn't get that far. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't wreck it. I read it and formulate my own opinions based on what I'm reading. So,
but that's a funny part of the book, and I'm glad they included it, if you know what I mean. But I have to be honest, I've been reading this book going, this is probably not the best choice for the Board of Advisors at WCE. If there was ever a humble group of people that had the balance of the confidence, not just humble bad, but the balance. I know I'm great. I'm not expecting the world to fall at my feet, but I deserve to be here. This is that group. So the whole time I've been reading it going, oh, I feel like I'm wasting everybody's time. It looked like a good book, but
see, and first of all, we didn't know what the book was going to be.
We didn't.
Secondly, I think that it gives, at least for my feelings, it's like, oh, I am starting to recognize why person A and I struggled. or why I felt this way interacting with or working with certain kinds of people, certain not kinds, but certain people. So I think this has been, for me, this has been a really good
I'm
book.
glad to hear it. So you guys, just for grins, because we got to go here shortly. Lori and I are going to be stuck in a car together for 2 12-hour stints over the next 5 days. So,
So when we come back, we'll have a new cornerstone.
yeah, right. They left her in Jersey, you guys. We're done. Just came home. Yeah, that'd be how that worked. We're like, I'd wander off. But the reason I'm bringing it up is, Christy, I'm going to ask you to please be my backup for Apple. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit after the recording's done, just for those few days. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do we have anything else further, Lori? Okay.
Nope. I was going to say, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to adjournment at 1:02 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to stop the recording as of now.